Hello.
Hey, Greg and Gene, how you doing?
Gene's finishing doing
Gene
the
is just sitting down. Hello.
greetings.
All right, so we don't have any. Okay, now we do. Now we got people watching. So, um, how are y'all doing today? First of all, hi Gene,
Okay.
Good.
welcome to the show. You're always kind of in the background of the show, but good to have you on camera once again.
There you go. Me and Batman decided to
You and
show up.
Batman,
This is a stealth show. I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
That does look
beautiful hat there. You have Greg.
yes, sort of reflective of my age now. That in my painting that I did in 1971, there I have the brown hair and the black hat. Now I've got the white beard and the gray hat. So it aged,
The hat age.
It's
Yeah, along with me,
Yeah. Okay.
sort of, kind of.
Sort of. Kind of.
very fitting. So, we've got a pretty deep, sensitive topic to talk about today. And before we get rolling on this, I just want to put this out to anybody that's going to be watching now or will be watching in the future. The point of this podcast isn't to trash the guy Vertigo. We put Vertigo into the the announcement for the live stream and things like that. Well, I did that and I called him a chump. Um, uh, and he is certainly the catalyst for why we're talking about this topic today. But we really, the three of us all talked about this, and we really wanted to stress the point that this is not a session just to trash a guy and tear a guy down and to try to ruin him in any way, shape, or form. The point of this is simply to discuss the copyright law, right? What it is what does copyright mean, and how it actually affects artists, and really kind of discuss the problem that of maybe that technology now has made it incredibly easy to do, and therefore people think it's kind of okay to do. Is that all a fair statement, you guys?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a good statement, Keith. It definitely is because our interest is clearly having a conversation about copyright. What's a copyright? How do you infringe a copyright? What's a derivative copyright? And why people should really be aware of all of this, especially now in this new world of NFTs, which is where we found the copyright infringement on this piece. So I don't know, where do you want to start with this, Keith? You tell me.
Okay, so
We'll take your lead.
I want to, in addition to talking about the copyright on this piece, I want to bring up two other points before we start moving forward.
Mhm.
One, you've also been dealing with another copyright infringement issue of where a well-known forger has been taking a multitude of your American Beauties pinup paintings,
Right.
printing them out on canvases, repainting, touching up, different things on them, and then selling them as his own. So you've been dealing
okay,
with.
but wait, he's this guy, that guy you're talking about. That's a very unique infringement in not just that he is replicating Greg's art, he is claiming he painted it, and he's claiming that what he's selling to people is a painting, which is not what he's selling to people. He's selling to people a canvas print of Greg's art that he has enhanced by, taking a brush and throwing some, brush strokes of paint on the sky or changing something in the dirt. The whole painting is Greg's. It's not a painting. So it's not only is it a forgery, it's a lie. The whole sales pitch is a lie. So it's from literally from theft of the imagery to copyright infringement and everything in between because, I grew up in a world where they said buyer beware, but bullshit in plain English. If you don't know art and you think this is a painting, it's on canvas. It's printed on canvas. It looks like a painting.
Yep.
Feels like a painting. Does it taste like a painting? Apparently not. But seriously, it's not a painting. And
Yep.
That's a separate thing from this.
This guy, I want to see in jail. The guy
Yes.
that ripped this off, not so much.
No.
Well, And,
No,
and
he,
then,
he did it out of
and-
what? Ignorance, I suppose, initially, and but still, the question is like, does that forgive you for not knowing the law? Your ignorance of it. I think there's a. The thing is, research. People got to research what they're. If you're taking other people's work and compositing it to make collages from, you should research each piece that you're using to find out whether or not you're infringing someone's copyright. It's as simple as that.
Yep.
And in this day and age, with the internet, you can find out anything you want.
Yep.
There's no excuse. There's really no excuse.
Yeah. And before we go into that, sorry, Greg, to cut you off again.
No.
We do want to point out, okay, there's the difference between the two individuals. You said you want to see the one guy in jail.
Yeah, I do.
In one, he's a forger. He's a known forger.
He's an art
Yeah.
forger, right? He's an art.
But this individual, Vertigo, there's two differences. One, that guy said "F you," and
Right.
Vertigo actually then reached out to you and Greg, through Instagram, very apologetic, trying to make things.
How do you stay? I'll go.
Okay.
I've got to go answer something.
He's got to
here.
go
I'll be
answer the
right
door, and I don't
Gene
know why
will
it's
carry on.
ringing, but I'll keep going. Go ahead, Keith.
Okay, so right there's a vast difference of the two cases. Of one who is like, screw you guys, I'm going to do what I want.
Completely different.
And another guy saying, hey, I'm sorry, I've made a mistake, right?
Well, I'll tell you, Keith, one of the biggest differences in the two is the young man who calls himself Vertigo on Maker's Place. Well, I don't know his real name, and I have no idea what country he's in. Okay, but he's considered a collage artist, and he took some stuff and he put it together and he cut it up and then he put it in Photoshop and he played with it and he came up with an image and he said, "This is mine," but the elements were not his. Okay, Greg's art was not his. The guy in Vegas is another whole world, because not only is he doing this with Greg's art, he's doing this with Boris. He's doing this with, good God, Frazetta. He's doing this with so many people, it's not even funny. Anne. Oh, here.
So I'll sit and carry on
You
now.
sit and carry on. Sorry. Hi, Anne.
This is convenient to have two people,
Yes, and yes,
I don't
you
know.
are working at a live working business office.
Yes,
So
we are.
occasionally people show
Phones
up.
ringing.
Yeah. So while Gene's over there dealing with Anne, let's just kind of step back a little bit, Greg. And how does that make you feel? Like when you see somebody, regardless if they claim it's a mistake or if they were ignorant of the law, regardless of all that stuff, you've now seen somebody take a personal work of yours, not change it in any significant, way other than combining it with another artist's work.
Yeah.
And now you've seen that somebody has stolen from you, and not only have they stolen from you, they've actually making money from this.
Well, truthfully, no, like you say, knowing nothing about the person who did it, your instant response is one of anger. Extreme anger. This is a painting I did in 1971. It's a self-portrait. So over the years, I do personal stuff. This one means a lot to me for the period of time that I was going through. To have somebody take something personal is even doubly offensive, as opposed to even if it was a job that you did, an illustration for another company, and they use that. But this is personal. It's hyper personal. So to see that and then arbitrarily chopped up, like the guy, he took it and he cut it across here, put some other images here that he had taken from somebody else. It ends up at the bottom of my face and the bottom of the picture. It's like, who said he can do that? Did he call me to ask me if he could do that with my artwork? It's like, I would never think to do that, ever, in a million years, to take somebody else's work and then to try to imply or claim that it's yours. Yeah. This is a personal creation that's yours. No, it's not. The assemblage is yours, but you've taken all these other people's work and you've stuck them together. And I'm not putting down collage artists. I'm not doing that. The point is, you took my painting and you did it with that, and you never asked me.
Yeah. I mean, now this is my opinion here. I don't know that that technically meets the definition of collage.
Well,
You know,
whatever.
the juxtaposition of all the images together. You know, that
Yeah, whatever it is. But the thing is, now what I
whatever
hear
it
is this
I
new
know that
word
that's
to
what it's being claimed as or whatever, but
right. But now the word is to justify that
you
process
know,
of assembling other people's work into a new way.
Transformational?
Transformation is the word now that people are using that makes it okay. Well, the work has been transformed. What the hell does that mean? Transformed.
Well,
No, 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 no.
Great, wait.
My
There
pic.
is a guideline. There's a guideline for transformational art.
Oh, there is.
I don't know the exact guideline, whether it has to be satire, with, you take a piece of this, you put it together with this is, I don't know. We don't do transformational art, so I have no idea what the guidelines are. However, this piece, the copyright infringement on this, did not fall into transformational at all.
Well, I got that, but I understand that. But what I'm saying is to use that word now. Here's a new word that makes it okay to steal. I don't care what the
yes.
hell you're using it for, satire or whatever. It doesn't matter. You're still stealing somebody else's work.
Yeah.
But Greg, there's a question. Look, there's also a question of what's the percent of what you do in the end result of the new work.
Right.
Okay? And as I said to Keith, and as I said to a couple of people that we were talking to about this particular copyright infringement, if somebody was doing a collage piece that had, it was 6 foot wide and there was 300 individual elements in it, and he took a print of this head and put it this big, I wouldn't care. But that's not what he did. He took this piece and made it his by just opening it up, spreading it, and sticking a skull in the middle of it. That's not collage. It's just not.
It's interesting in the sense that nowhere else in society, other than in the arts, does anybody consider taking of someone else's property
right
good or
Good.
right or anything. Like,
give it a new name
if
now.
if I came to your house and I took your hammer and then I started using it as a door jamb at my house, no one would say, "Oh, well, you repurposed his property, so it's yours now." That's okay.
That's right. No one would say that.
You've transformed
No.
it.
No one would say that.
Never.
No. And no one would blame you.
But that's
if you took that hammer and hit him over the head with it.
But that's the interesting thing about the arts, though, right? They've not only been stolen like that and broken up and pieced together by somebody else, but they've been accused of all kinds of stuff, causing juvenile delinquency, causing all crime, causing, you know what I mean? They seem to be an open territory for people to go and pillage and plunder.
Keith, do you have questions there? Because I can't read them from here. Is there any questions we should be answering?
Yeah, we do have no questions yet. Everybody, we have people saying hello. Dean13, hi, how you doing? Jay Davies says this is juicy stuff.
They're saying
Elijah, good reason for marriage. Dre Studios chiming in. How you doing? Hello, Guinevere. And then we have Cole C. When copyright cases come up, does that affect Greg mentally on your current project? And how many cases do you typically see per year?
Doesn't affect me mentally at all. I mean, I'm focused on what I'm focused on. Once I get, how it is, Keith, you're being an artist, once you get to the easel, to the board, that's all you're thinking about. Nothing else interferes with that.
That's the first part of the answer. The second part of the answer, he doesn't have anything to do with tracking a copyright infringement, enforcing, getting it taken down. That's me. And I will give you the easiest answer to that possible. 20% of my year as an agent, 20% of every year for the last 20 years of my life has been spent on stopping copyright infringement of the Hildebrandt art, Brothers Hildebrandt, Greg Hildebrandt, and other artists, not just artists that I work with as an agent, but if I see an infringement online of an artist that I know didn't license it, I will go after that infringement. And that's 20% of my year. So that's how much time I waste from a standpoint of what I could be doing productive But in that case, it is productive because it's protecting the artist, and that's my thing. I protect my artist.
You know, it's not the same, but I mean, I have a tendency to kind of like create exaggerated imagery. But how about robbing a bank? Is that okay? You know what I mean? People don't look at like they're stealing. It's not.
Yeah.
Oh, it. Well, I mean, it's done in business. We know that every day. It's done in the entertainment business. You know, it's done in Hollywood, right? It's done everywhere.
Yeah, but Greg, one of the things, Keith, that's critical. I don't know who's watching this today. I don't know how many people are watching this today. I don't know how many of them are in the art field, not in the art field. In the 41 years I've been in this business, I would say a minimum of 40% of the artists I have met over the years, which is quite a few, have no idea what copyright is. Even artists have no idea what copyright is. And I think that where this really has to start is in the educational system. If you take an art class, if you go to an art school, if you go to the Cupid School, you go to Pratt, I don't care where you go. They really need to sit you down and make you read the Copyright Act so you understand what a copyright is to begin with. Because I know artists that don't even know that what they create is their copyright.
Yep.
Blows me away. Because no one ever talked to them about copyright. And I'm like, okay, wait, you own this. I own what?
It is your intellectual property.
Right. It's your intellectual property. And if there was a larger conversation in the universe educating people into what is copyrighted, what is a copyright infringement, what is a derivative copyright infringement, what is a trademark infringement. A lot of people think, oh, okay, I can go rip this off because the copyright just ended, but the trademark didn't. So
right.
there's a lot of people want to go after Disney, this, that, or the other thing for something that started like a zillion years ago. But if they still hold the trademark, okay, unless you want a lawsuit, where are you going?
Yep. Now I want to address a couple other things here, Gene, really quickly, before I ask you why it's important to go after copyright infringement. So hold that question in your head. But Dre Studios, he didn't recreate it from scratch. He took the art and then digitally modified it. So it was Greg's brushstrokes and everything there. And yeah, he just tinkered with it obviously in Photoshop or whatever Procreate or whatever program this guy's using. So Dre Studios just wanted the context on that.
Okay.
And then Genevieve, hopefully I pronounced that right. I'm sorry if I did not. Says, with the internet, example, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, how does one keep tabs? It seems impossible.
It is impossible. Okay, so Genevieve, that's a very interesting question, and that's why I take 20% of my year and I do this. Now, I will say that of the copyright infringements, and some of them are enormous. This is not enormous. This was a kid somewhere in a foreign country that ripped off one of Greg's paintings and cut it up in Photoshop and did something with it to try and make a little bit of money.
He clearly didn't know any better.
Right. Now I'm
He's
not
claiming not to know any better.
Oh, right. Well, right.
Keith,
I don't know the facts.
Honestly,
so.
I don't think he does. I don't.
But we still.
Look, if I know people in this country who haven't got a clue what the definition of copyright is, somebody in some foreign communist country somewhere probably is just like,
I don't know if it's communist or
whatever. But so I'm not pissed at him. I am pissed that this happens at all. I am pissed that there is not a conversation. People run around screaming about, oh, China steals all our intellectual properties. They don't even know what it means when they're screaming China, okay, and intellectual properties, people. They have no idea what an intellectual property right is, okay, and this drives me crazy. So I only talk about things that I actually know about. That's kind of like a rule I've had because I don't like sticking my foot all the way down my throat, okay? But
Well,
when it
I'll
comes
tell
to
you.
this, wait, let me finish it. When it comes to answer Genevieve's question, I'm fortunate. I'm fortunate that I have been an agent and representing, especially the Hildebrandt art, for 41 years. I would say 80% of the infringements, I don't find them. My customers and Greg's fans find them on the internet. And they send me emails and they say, hey, Gene, did you license this for this? And then the answer is no. And then I go after them. But I appreciate those people that are on the lookout. Okay, and your friends can be on the lookout. If you're an artist, they can be on the lookout for you. They're on Twitter, they're on Instagram, they're on Twix, they're on wherever the hell they are. And just
Well,
tell your friends to look out for you.
one of the things that really kind of like irked me, putting it mildly, is the person who bought the NFT of this deformed picture of mine was defending it, right? He was trying. It almost laid.
He wasn't defending it.
Wasn't he? Was kind of like made me get.
He was defending the young man who did.
Defending the young man and kind of like laying I felt
a guilt trip.
A guilt trip on me,
Right.
like I was perturbed and I didn't allow this to happen. Like, in other words, because pitching the idea that this is he's a young starting artist and he's a young artist. Well, I'm an old artist. I'm supposed. There's no respect for age. I'm supposed to respect youth. All right. There's an issue there, separate issue. You get me? That's enough to piss me off.
Okay,
And then
Greg, age has nothing to do with
no.
this.
Well, I'm saying
ownership is the only thing that matters.
I got that.
Who
but
created it?
You're right,
Period.
but there's layers that just I'm telling you what went through my mind.
Right, I understand.
This is the way I was felt, what I was going through, and the fact that you're going to lay a guilt trip on me. I should let this young man who's living under apparently a regime that is not, I don't know what the hell it is, but claiming to be some sort of a totalitarian world. I don't know that. I have no information on that. No more than I have any information on the calls that come in from police organizations demanding money and make me feel guilty that I don't give it to them. And I say, send me printed material. And some of them say, go yourself. Some guy on the other end and hangs up.
Well, that's because that's a scam.
But that's what I mean. I don't know whether this is a scam or not. How am I supposed to know that? You're giving this appeal for this guy because you've bought this thing and now you're trying to keep it and you're trying to make this all right somehow. And I'm supposed to be the guy that comes out the end of it shafted because I'm an old artist.
Okay, but wait.
That's the way I feel.
Keith, this is interesting what he's talking about from this standpoint. Over the years, eBay, I'm a power seller on eBay, and eBay is just, oh, good God. eBay, Redbubble, all of them have copyright infringement all over the place. It's like water running through a river, okay? Now, for the last 20 years easily on eBay, at least once a year, I get somebody I find, because I do a lot of different searches on eBay to try and find these infringements. And a lot of people take Greg's pinup art, especially his pinup art, and they in Photoshop, they remove his name. Some of them actually have the balls to put their name on it. Hello! It's a kitty fest. Oh, yes. And they start selling prints. Okay. Now, I'm a Vero member, which is the arm of eBay that you register copyrights and whatever with, and you can shut somebody down instantly. Okay. Trying to be a nice human being, I don't do that. And what I do usually is I write an email in eBay, through eBay, to the person who's infringing his copyright. Okay. And I usually start with, oh, now, I'm sure you did not realize that you were infringing Greg Hildebrandt's intellectual property rights on this when you use this to start selling 8x10 prints of his pinup art to make money, but that's what you're doing. And I would really appreciate if you would stop. And every year for the last 20 years, at least once a year, this happens. I get an email back that says, oh my God, I didn't know my son, who's anywhere from 6 to 8 years old, is dying from cancer. It's usually brain cancer, okay, in the email. And we're trying to raise enough money for the surgery and yada, 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 yada. Okay. And I've always done the exact same thing. whether it's brain cancer, whether it's raising money for dogs. Okay, I send them a link and an email back, and I say, okay, I feel terrible for you that your son has cancer. Please email me the name of the oncologist that is treating your child and the hospital that is treating your child. And if I can verify, in fact, that your child has cancer, not only will I allow you to continue to sell Hildebrandt art as prints on eBay to raise money for the surgery, I will send you high resolution scans so that the prints you are selling are worth buying. And I have never once had anybody send me a doctor's name or the name of a hospital or the name of the organization that they're saving the cats, saving the dogs, saving the elephants, or anything else.
Support the police.
And it's
Yep.
really aggravating because if our art, the art that Greg has created that we collectively own the copyrights on, could make a difference in the world, why would we not want to do that? I have given a lot of people permission to use his art over the years for things that I can verify. And I haven't asked for any money.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, I get requests from all over the world.
Yeah.
You know, and that's fine. But I have to be able to verify that you're going to make a print of this, you're going to sell the print of it, you know, and you're going to do something that matters in the world. If this young man, I will tell you, had contacted me first, and if I could have verified what country he was from, and that he is as poverty-stricken as he says he is, I probably would have said to him, okay, Harry, or whatever your name is, I'll let you use a piece of Hildebrandt art for your collage, not this.
Yeah.
Okay? But he didn't. He just went ahead and used it. And unless there's a consequence for copyright infringement, you'll never stop it.
Yeah. One time, somebody used one of my pinups on a beer label that he created, a beer company. He used it, it took the name off right there. They'll take the name off.
Yeah.
So you know he's doing wrong, or at the bat, he can act stupid as hell when Gene got a hold of him. Yeah. But, you know, it's thievery. It's like, and that's okay.
I have two favorite copyright infringements. Okay, Greg collects old carnival chalk figures and big little books and ray guns and God knows what, tin toys, all the stuff from his childhood. And his collectibles room is filled with what we call slob art.
Gene Shepard.
Gene Shepard slob art. Okay, and so if I find an infringement on eBay, I usually shut it down one way or the other. One day I'm on eBay, and Greg had done this magnificent painting of Archbishop Fulton J. Sheen, because it was the 25th anniversary of his death, and Greg had worked for the bishop years ago when he was in his 20s, and they had used this thing in St. Patrick's Cathedral, this painting, and this big deal. It was magnificent. And I'm on eBay, and some girl made earrings out of Greg's painting. Okay.
Bishop.
These little
Bishop Sheen
earrings. Bishop Sheen.
I said, Gene, I got to have a pair.
All right. So, you got to have, you didn't even do that.
Hang on 1 second. I'm going to interrupt you just for a second, Gene. Everyone who's chiming in with questions about NFTs and things like that, NFTs will most certainly be addressed. So just hold those thoughts.
Okay.
We're talking about earrings right now.
Really quick. I bought them. I ordered, because I looked at them and I said, well, this has got to be in his collectibles room before I shut these people down.
Yeah.
Okay. And I can't imagine they sold more than 3 pairs, and I was one of them. You know, and he's proud of them. They sit in his collectibles.
It's like, aside from, Batman's cereal, this has got to be like one of the stupidest sort of like things. You know what I mean?
And the second most favorite infringement ever was our daughter-in-law, Jane.
Don't take me wrong. I have a box of Batman cereal from the very first 1989 movie, still in plastic and up on my shelf.
Don't eat it. Jane posed for us on the wing of a Corsair at an air show, and she is in the Made in the USA painting. And a very dear friend of mine, about 2 years ago, was driving around Canada and sent me a photo, a JPEG, and she said, "Did you license this?" And there was Jane, 40 feet high, in neon, outside a strip joint.
Oh.
And I said,
You know, the thing about
No,
it is, I don't know.
did not.
Here's what perplexes me. This is like art forgery too. Why do people do that? Why do they consciously lift something that exists already rather than being inspired by it? Say, "Oh, I like that. That's really cool. I like that a lot. I'll get an artist, to not copy it, but give me something like that, and let an artist do their own thing now that sort of is like that, but not, Why don't people do that?"
Okay, now, Keith, let's see what these people are talking about that they want to hear about NFTs.
Okay, hang on.
Yeah.
Before we go there, Gene, I want two things before we go to the NFT aspect.
Okay.
Right. One, I want to make this clear to everybody that this is not about money.
No.
This is not about money.
No.
And in this case, the first thing he tried to do was like, okay, well, I'll give you the money for it, which you guys refused.
We want the money.
And just said, we just want it taken down.
Taken down. Right.
Take it down.
Yeah.
Give the buyer back their money.
Exactly.
And take the image down. So
Yes.
just so that we're clear on everything, that it is not about getting the money from it for you.
Yeah.
Two, before we go into the NFTs, could you please explain why it's important to go after people that are infringing your copyrights rather than just letting it go?
Okay, so, this is part of trying to understand copyright law and what is a copyright and what is copyrightable. But one of the things that people do not understand is if you paint a painting, any painting, okay, this painting, the copyright is now yours. This is an image of you. This is your likeness. On top of it being copyright, this is your likeness, which is another whole world of people are not allowed to use your physical likeness without your permission. Okay. Now, on this painting, there's a signature, Greg Hildebrandt. You rip off this painting, you remove that signature in Photoshop. The likelihood is highly possible this will end up in the public domain. You will lose your copyright on your own creation if you don't take a stand and go after it and protect it. Now, people say, well, you can't find them all. No, you can't find them all. But if you prove that if you're an artist or you're a musician or you're a writer and somebody's infringing your copyright, you can prove in a court of law that you have been actively pursuing people that have ripped you off. And you can show when you did whatever this piece was, a piece of art, a piece of literature, a piece of music, you can show when you did it, okay, the courts will uphold your copyright. But if you just sit back and do nothing, the courts will say, well, listen, you never did anything. You set a precedent. You didn't care about your copyrights. All of a sudden, today you do. For the last 20 years you didn't. So I have for the last 40 years.
And look at that. Look what that means. Just in practical terms. Jane spends, as she said, 20% of her career working, tracking this shit down, wasting precious time. How long do we have on this earth, for God's sakes? Wasting that time because people are stealing from you. You got to now use your time up to go track it all down, clean it all up. It's like, it's criminal in many levels.
I think now, I'm pretty sure that this is not lore and that it's grounded in some kind of fact. But one of the largest cases of not protecting your copyright and then losing any chance is Bill Watterson, the creator of Calvin and Hobbes.
Oh, I
really?
don't know.
I
don't know that. I don't know. What was the case?
But he never licensed Calvin and Hobbes to anything other than books and reprints of the strip.
Okay.
But you see Calvin and Hobbes everywhere, all over T-shirts and on stickers, and they usually have, Calvin urinating on
the bump
something.
Windows. It's always on windows of cars.
So all of that was infringement.
All of that was infringement.
And why
did he let it go?
Why did he never stop it?
I don't know that.
But then he took it to. You're telling me he took it to court?
This is where some of it might be lore, but it's been around for 20 years. So, but of him never pressing the issue and just letting it all go, letting it all go. And then finally, when he had enough, tried to press the issue and then couldn't, because there was just so much out there.
Of course, there was so much precedent that he set. That's exactly my point. That he let it go for so long that it became public domain.
Yep.
It
now,
literally
again,
did. And you don't want that
hearing that now for 20 years, and you see that, literally see the Calvin and Hobbes stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
So how much of it's lore or not, I
there you
can't
go.
guarantee, but
So
it seems like it's grounded in reality.
So this personal self-portrait of me, if Gene didn't pursue this, could end up being not owned by me anymore. I don't own this, my own portrait I did of myself.
That's pretty crazy.
I mean, that sounds like Alice in Wonderland or George Orwell or somebody. You know what I mean? Truth is lie. War is peace. Peace is war. Love is hate.
Let's not go there. Okay.
Okay.
Now.
So now that we've established those two things, Gene, can you please explain to us a bit more then of how that comes into play with the NFT?
Sure. Okay.
Or the non-fungible token.
Okay. So, I only started getting involved in NFTs 2.5 months ago, let's say.
Yep.
Somewhere around there. Tracy Kubert, Adam Kubert's wife. For those of you who know comics, you know Adam. If you don't, then you don't. One of the greats. Tracy called me up and she said, "Oh my God, Gene, you got to know about this, blah, blah." Okay. And so I study. Keith, you study for us. You tell us what you learn. I tell you what I learned. We begin to understand what is supposed to be the new unbreakable way, okay, because of the blockchain, to track the provenance of a piece of art that is minted as an NFT. So if it is just digital, okay, that NFT will follow that piece of digital art forever. That's supposedly what this is about, what NFTs are about. Okay. If it's this, if I want to mint this painting, I can actually put a code on this painting and mint it on the blockchain that will follow this painting forever. So if I sell it and then that person resells it, supposedly, technically, the artist will now actually get another percent of a sale forever. So the whole idea of NFT in art was supposed to be, like this really high level, high-minded way of showing provenance of an original, whether it's an original digital, an original painting, an original piece of music, okay, whatever it is. If it's an original of something, you can mint it on the blockchain, and that's supposed to follow it forever. So you're not getting ripped off. You buy it, it has a provenance. It has an NFT provenance. That's the whole point of the NFT. Did I answer your question?
You did. Yeah, you did. So the comment was a while ago, but just to maybe simplify or clarify then, and how that relates to this conversation and that painting, is by minting that NFT, Vertigo was claiming ownership and being the original creator.
That's right.
Of all of that work.
I missed that part. So for most people, okay, the people, from what I gather, the people who are actually collecting NFTs, okay, the ones that they want are the ones that are minted by the creator. Okay? So it's just that simple. Now, it may be that the creator's dead and the family decides, let's say Frank Frazetta, for example, they're making NFTs out of Frank's work, but it's from the estate. So it's the estate of Frank Frazetta that's minting it. So you know that you're getting reality there because it's Frank's estate. Okay. But to have some artist somewhere in some country trying to mint and claim that this piece of art or part of this piece of art, I don't care if he only took the top of his head, okay, belonged to him, you can't let it happen. It's impossible.
Can't let it happen.
Yeah.
Yep. And see, there, that's where the NFTs have really, they're good in a lot of ways. And that, you know, now like for digital artists, things like that, it allows them to have something of significance with their art, that it's not just infinite amount of JPEGs out there. And, you know, someone's asking, you know, how's the code secured? I don't know all the ins and outs and the technical capabilities of the blockchain, but supposedly the blockchain is not hackable.
Right.
But so
that's what
we
they
can't
tell
go
me.
too far
That's
down
what
that.
they tell me. Yeah.
Too far down that line because it just
Yeah.
don't have that level of knowledge.
Yeah.
But the good of it, you know, like we said, is that okay, I make a piece of digital art. I have now something that is unique. I put it onto the blockchain. I mint it. I have something that's unique that I could sell it as unique, and the purchaser of the work could say, "Hey, this is the original file," right? But at the same time, now with copyright infringement being so prevalent in the world all the time, it's impossible for the people that are, you know, running these you know, online NFT galleries or whatever, you know, the marketplaces to check everything.
Right.
So
no, they
now
can't.
somebody is they're minting something as an NFT, making that claim and establishing that level of I'm the originator.
Right.
And it now will make it harder for an artist who, I mean, they could steal from anybody. It doesn't have to be, they just happen to take from Greg, who is really well known.
Right. Oops.
But they could take from somebody who is not well known.
Well, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Of course.
And then how is that artist going to be able to prove to anybody that hey, they stole my stuff? Well, who are you? You know, you don't have.
Okay.
Right.
So here's the thing that I always try and tell young artists, right now, especially in this era that we live, where you know you can put up a website in 3 days. That's, you know, phenomenal. Okay. In the good old days, 41 years ago, we had fax machines with paper that used to fade. Okay, I mean that's how far we've come here, and so you should always. These are the things I tell artists. First of all, put everything you do on your website with your signature on it. Put the date that you created it in your description and what you created it for. And even if it's just a gallery piece, just put gallery piece or personal piece, okay? But define what that piece is, okay? So now that you have that fingerprint, you've got that digital fingerprint on your gallery when that was loaded, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Okay. You may not be well known, but it doesn't matter. As long as you can prove, as long as you can show a website, hey, look, this is me, and I created this in, you know, 2000, and this person just stole it in 2021. You're fine. You're fine. But you have to create a visual presence on the internet, your own website, where this stuff is available for people to see. Put watermarks on it so that it's, you know, not that easy to rip it off. Okay? And check eBay, check Redbubble, check them all. You know.
Yeah, I had a very interesting thing not too long ago. I pointed out to you, and you and I were discussing it. You know, someone took one of my paintings, but the thing is that I don't own the copyright to the painting. Wizards of the Coast owns the copyright.
Mm-hmm.
So even though they took my painting, they're infringing Wizards of the Coast copyright.
And what do you think you should do with that?
Have no idea what to do with that.
I tell you what I do with that. Because I get those all the time, where as I said, Greg's fans and customers, whatever, they will shoot me an email. Hey, Gene, did you really license this Lord of the Rings painting for a mop? No, I didn't. Okay, for a mop, no, I didn't. Okay. I do get a lot of people that send me things that are infringements of Lucas, of Disney, of Marvel, of DC. Okay, and I take that as just as seriously as something that we have the copyright on. And I always take that and I inform the company that's being infringed on, okay? And then it's up to them. It's not up to me to follow up on that. But I have sent so many things to Marvel's lawyers, to DC's lawyers, to Disney's lawyers, Warner Brothers. Okay, hey guys, guess what? Check this out. The worst one that exists, and it still exists and it will always exist. There's a website in Russia that sells artwork from 8x10 prints to wall murals 60 feet long, everything in between. Okay, they have probably every image of every living and dead artist that has ever existed on the planet, and I'm not kidding. Okay, and they have every Brothers Hildebrandt, every Greg Hildebrandt, every Tim Hildebrandt, every Marvel, every Disney, every DC that's ever been made, ever. They have hundreds of thousands of images. Okay.
I wonder if they have my toilet training book.
I don't know. I basically, I looked at that website when someone sent it to me and I said, not even possible for me to make a dent in trying to stop this. So I sent that website to the lawyers at DC, at Marvel, at Disney, at Warner, at Image, at Valiant, at every single contact I had in both industries to try and get enough people with power behind them to shut it down for the sake of everyone. It's still there. That was 6 years ago. So that shows you that Disney and Warner and Lucas, they can't do it either in Russia. They can't stop.
I would just like to stick something in here. It's like, for people who always ask me, how is it possible that I can produce so much artwork? How am I so prolific? How, etc. The answer is sitting right next to me. You see how
Magic.
That literally for 41 years,
41 years.
that this Gene's done everything like this. I sit and I paint and I draw, and it's the most fortunate thing in my entire life. And I don't know what an artist these days does without a Gene. I don't know how it's possible to survive. You can't. You know what I mean? You just all this work that we're talking about that it takes place just to cover everything, to make sure that work's coming in. To say nothing about covering the work that's being stolen, is like a constant job. I think
we should have bobbleheads of me made.
Yeah.
Yes,
absolutely.
We could sell them.
Good.
Everybody
needs a Gene. Everybody needs a Gene. There you go. That's it right there.
We got an interesting comment in here, and it's a very important thing. It's kind of the reverse. This James Robert Terrell. So I'm not going to reread the whole thing, but he talks about now he's a photographer now, and he's had people come up and ask him if they could paint his pictures. Now, he's given them permission, so they're not stealing his copyright. But that's also another big thing for a lot of particularly young artists to understand, that one, you should use your own reference.
Yeah.
Right?
Pose your own models.
You
can do that. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have access to something and you need to go onto Google and find it, use it as the idea generator. Don't copy it verbatim, because you are stealing someone's copyright when you do that.
Right.
I mean, everything on the planet, Keith, in reality is reference. Everything's reference. It's kind of interesting. Many years ago, I did a course, and in the course they were talking about speaking, listening, seeing, and understanding what you're looking at. Okay, you look, but you do not see. And for an artist, for most artists, they see the world differently than the rest of us, completely differently. So, I can look at the microphone that we're speaking into, and I see a thing that looks like it's part of the Silver Surfer. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Greg looks at that, and he starts to analyze the color of the light on the metal, and how it's. Wait, just let me finish my point. Now, but he's not going to take that and copy that in a painting. He's not going to take this particular guy's design for this microphone. If he then wants to make a microphone, some fucking fancy thing, fantasy thing, he's going to take maybe the top of this and he's going to make it long and he's going to put wings on it, whatever. But everything is reference. You just can't rip off what other people have created. It just doesn't work.
No.
And that's really the problem. And like I said, sometimes you can ask people, can I use your photo? Okay. And photography is a whole different world of copyright photography because it's been a long time since I've read the copyright on photographs. Okay. Or copyright issues on photographs. But they're pretty strict. Photography is really, it's a tight field, and a lot of it has to do too with who are you taking a picture of. So if there are people in there, do you have a release? To even use that photo for yourself. If it's a paparazzi, if you're out on the street, you don't need the release. It's your free game. The Princess of Wales was free game when she was out shopping at Harrods. But if she was in Parliament, no, she's in a government building. And you really have to know all of that stuff. Now, people who don't know copyright could care less. They could care less. They're going to take your photo. They're going to try and rip it off. No different than with a painting. So you do have to do your due diligence. One of the things like ad agencies, okay, the world of the internet and ad agencies, I find to be, it's like the clash of the titans. Because when they want to put together an idea of something, they go online and they just grab images. They grab his images. They grab photographs. They grab whatever they feel like. They put together this whole proposal and they hand it to somebody. Really? What does that mean? You're using Hildebrandt to propose something for Universal, but you're not going to hire Hildebrandt because you don't want to pay Hildebrandt.
That's a whole other story.
Okay? And so I actually had an agency come to me to have Greg do some work, and they sent me their proposal. Okay, the proposal, and I gotta just close something that came on the screen here so I can see you again. Okay, the proposal had another artist's work in it that was like crazy. I'm trying to get this stuff off the monitor so we can see you guys. Okay. Had another artist's work in it. Okay. I don't know, some Google Chrome thing popped up. And what is that? Ready to call? Start call? What does that mean? I don't know. There you go, Keith. Waiting for others to join the call failed. What does that mean, Keith?
I don't know.
All right.
I'm not seeing it.
Okay, I am. All right. Anyhow, okay. So I called up the agency in California, big agency, and I said, "This is really interesting. So, did you get an okay from this very well-known artist to use all this stuff in your proposal to try and hire Greg Hildebrandt?" No. Why would we? I said, "Come on, guys, really? Seriously? Are you out of your mind?" I said, "You're using someone else's work, someone else's copyrighted work to pitch your product, to hire someone else, to pay him money when you've created this whole idea around someone else's work. So it's not just the actual physical thing, the idea.
Yeah.
This is an idea. This is a copyrighted idea. It came out of his head. Okay? So that's the other thing that you have to look for. That's where derivative copyright comes in. So if it's your idea that someone just changed, but no one else in the world has had that idea, that's a derivative copyright infringement of your work.
Yep.
I don't think we answered this question.
Yeah, Genevieve brings up a great point here, and she says, as a writer, it takes place as well.
Oh,
which is absolutely true, and we call it plagiarism.
Yeah.
But writing, to my knowledge, has in plagiarizing has the biggest ramifications and repercussions. If you're in a university and you're caught plagiarizing in one of your papers, they will kick you out.
They'll kick you out, right? Yeah.
They will kick you out.
And they should.
Right.
Yeah.
And as they should.
Yeah.
But that's where it's unfortunate that in the visual arts there doesn't seem to be that level of retribution's not the right word, but that's the one that pops into my head.
Look at
consequence is the word.
I mean,
there is no
ramifications, consequences. In music we see it, and in the 90s, in the 90s, there was the big case of Vanilla Ice using the bass line from Queen.
Oh, really?
Right? And
well, how about the George Harrison "My Sweet Lord" one taken from that girl group? You know that story?
Don't know that one, no.
Yeah, look, that's a big one. That's a big one.
Okay, but you don't know the group.
I
So
will.
keep going, Keith.
But yeah, so he the Queen actually then took him to court, and they won.
Right.
But in the 90s in particular, it as digital sampling and stuff came into prominence, that the borrowing music, or they called it sampling. I'm sampling.
Right.
Where they would just take snippets and segments, and we were talking about this one the other day where the band Two Live Crew took portions of Roy Orbison's Pretty Woman. Mm-hmm. Now, we saw initially in court they won because they claimed that their song was a parody of Pretty Woman. But then in the appeal, they lost because it's like, well, you know what? Yes, your song had parody elements, but you're still recalling on that work.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
I think the music industry's got to be held. It really, at least with literature, you're writing something, it's in black and white, it's right there, it's in type, it's on a written page, or it's on the internet, and the court can go, okay, this is yours, this is yours, this is yours. Okay, but with music, now you're talking about how those notes come together, and how many notes does it constitute that riff is yours, and that he didn't use it first. I would not even want to be on a jury in a court case.
Another big one with music, in the early days of MTV, there was a segment on there called MTV News, right?
News?
MTV News, or music television news, right?
All right. I thought you said MTV Nudes.
It could be that too.
Like, okay. Maybe.
But
I didn't watch it. Okay.
It had this opening bass riff, right?
Okay.
And it turns out, the bass riff was from a Megadeth song called "Peace Sells, But Who's Buying," right?
Okay.
Now, Dave Mustaine, the main guy from Megadeth, took them to court. But they cut it off 1 second. Apparently there's a time, right? You're allowed to use this much in time. They knew that, cut it off 1 second before, used this multiple times a day to millions of customers all around the world.
Badly
and
does that.
Didn't have to pay him a dime.
That sucks.
That's amazing.
Didn't have to pay him
that sucks. That's wrong.
Well, look at the attitudes too. I mean,
it may be law, but it's
law.
Wrong.
There's law.
A lot of laws that are just goddamn wrong.
Law. There's law, and then there's ethics. And they don't go together necessarily. I mean, in other stories too, like I know we have a friend in L.A., a writer, screenplay writer, a lot of TV stuff. And I was talking with Lee once about, because he's had stuff stolen from him. And I said, well, how the hell did he do that here? You know, with the Little Mermaid and stuff like that from me. How do they do that here? I said, do they go like this? Do they slouch? He said, no, they don't do that. It's like, oh, I like that. Oh, I like that. You know, the whole, it's all out in the open. Everybody does it. They don't even think that they're doing something wrong.
Yeah, it's surprising.
And then they tell you, like they did with me swiping on my Robinhood for a TV promotion on Robinhood, a Robinhood movie, that, well, you should be proud. You should be happy that we use your artwork. Gave me no credit at all on the show. Oh, you should be honored that we took it.
Yeah, but Greg, that was.
But Jean cleaned that up. She got the, you know.
That was.
But
that
that
was totally different, Greg. That was totally.
I know, but still, we're talking about thievery. It's thievery.
The most blatant copyright infringement in the 41 years ever that he's talking about, where the movie Robin Hood was coming. It was a costume movie, right?
Yeah.
The costume movie was coming out, and CBS was running a special the week before it was going to break. It was called Robin Hood: The Myth, the Man, and the Legend.
It's like a 2-hour special on the history of Robin.
On the history of Robin
right?
Hood.
All the books, movies, arts, you know.
Pierce Brosnan?
He narrated
Pierce Brosnan was narrating it, right? Okay. And when it started, when it went on, okay, well, every phone here started ringing at the same time. My 3 business lines, 2 cell phones, and a house number kept going at the same time. I was like, what the hell? And I picked up one of the lines. There was a friend said, did you license Greg's stuff for this Costner movie? And I said, what?
The Robin Hood book that I illustrated for Unicorn Publishing, Gene's company.
Yep.
So I turned on the TV, and one of my friends had started taping it from the preview commercial. Okay. And it was a 2-hour special, and he sent me the tape. He sent me the video. And I sat down with a stopwatch, and I figured out exactly how many minutes of that 2 hours Greg's art was on the screen, and it was around 23 minutes.
Yeah, it was a lot.
It was no joke.
They were using it. See, the way that the special read, it was a well-done special. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about the production values of it. They went through all the tracking of the movies, Errol Flynn, and on and on. And then they went through all the books, Howard Pyle and N.C. Wyeth and all the great illustrators who illustrated it. So, but they weren't using me that way. They weren't like including my book that I illustrated. Once they started to talk, say, about Robin and Marion, the Brosnan narrations talk about Robin and Marion, they dissolve to my picture of Robin and Marion standing in the forest, my painting from the book, as a logo image as they're zooming into it slowly.
It literally filled up the entire TV screen.
Yeah, they just cut to the picture.
That's all you saw.
As he talked about, then they talked about the Sheriff of Nottingham, and they cut to my picture. You know, they kept using it as logo images.
All right, now
Wow.
They used all 20 paintings from his book that my company published. So I waited. I watched. The credits came up. There was no credit for the book. There was no credit for the publishing company, and there was no credit for Greg. Okay? So the next day, I called CBS, and I asked for the CEO, and I got the office, and someone answered the phone and said, he's very busy. He's in a meeting. I said, I'm very busy. I'm in a meeting. I said, now, here's what we're going to do. You're going to put me on hold, and then you're going to interrupt his meeting, and you're going to say major copyright infringement lawsuit, and then you're going to stop talking and see if he picks up. He did. And I introduced myself very nice. I wasn't rude. I wasn't nasty because I had no reason to be. And I said, look, what made you think you could do this? And he said, the production company that we bought the rights to do this from guaranteed us, we have it in writing, that they had the right to use everything in that 2 hours. And so they had no right. He said, well, let me give you the name of the CEO of that company, Gene. I said, fine. So he gave me the name, gave me the guy's number. I called. That was the next call. Again, I introduced myself very nicely, explained the whole thing, and I said, what made you think you had the right to use Greg Hildebrandt's art to create your 2 hour special around without compensating or even asking you? And the guy said to me, "You should be honored." I said, "Honored? Are you kidding me?" He said, "You should be honored. I have no reason to ask your permission." And I said, "Honey, I got all the reason in the world for you to ask my permission." And I hung up the phone. I called CBS back. I got the CEO on the phone. I said, "Here's the deal. I will not waste 1 second of my life on that. So I will tell you, since you did not do your due diligence and you did not find out if in fact they did have the rights, you didn't see a sign off from Greg Hildebrandt on those 20 pieces, and you didn't see a sign off from me from Unicorn Publishing," I said, "in 24 hours, I'm going to hit you with an infringement suit, the likes of which you've never seen. Or you get to write me a check, and I want it here in my office by 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. This is how much I want." And the check was sitting on my desk the next day.
Good.
Well, but I mean, you see, again, most artists don't have that.
No.
No.
You know, they don't. That's
No.
how many.
They'd have no idea what to do.
They wouldn't know what to do.
And does that take balls? Yes, but I don't.
You gotta have.
You know what? I don't mind doing that and being a really, excuse me, pushy bitch when it comes to something like that. Because to me, it's like, how dare you? How dare you? You think that because you're NBC or you're CBS, you're ABC, you're Disney, you're whoever you are, you think you can take what he created and use it and you make money and he doesn't? How dare you?
It's a fine line argument, but I mean, dead artists are one thing, you know. I don't know how long ago dead. Living artists are another thing. You know what I mean? You're still alive and making a living. This guy, or woman, or whoever is dead. They've been dead for centuries or 20 years or what the hell ever.
I'm sorry.
I'm not saying that that's
I shouldn't
right,
have done that, but whatever.
but you know, it's like, you know, it's.
I can
We
be
get
nasty.
there's an interesting side conversation over here that is good to acknowledge. Cole C and Dre Studios were having it, and Dre Studios answered it absolutely correctly. They were like, you know, Cole asked, "Is Greg still protected if someone buys an original painting and then tries to sell the image as an NFT?" And then, you know, Dre answered him correctly in saying that even if you buy an original painting for someone, you're not buying that copyright.
That's right.
You know, you're just buying.
You are buying
Absolutely.
the right to own
The
original physical object. You have no right to reproduce it. You cannot print it. You can't use it for your own personal whatever. If you feel like making it for your kids, you when you buy it, you need to ask, "Can I make 10 prints and have 10 kids?" Yeah, sure. Okay, I'll let you do that, or I'll make the prints for you for your kids. Okay, but yeah, you get no rights. You're buying no rights.
Certainly not
when
reproduction.
You're buying an original.
Certainly not reproduction for profit. You know.
Yeah. And when you see all this stuff about minting of the NFTs, again, the NFT is supposed to be minted by the original artist,
by the creator.
You know, just because you buy an original painting does not give you the right to then mint an NFT of that image and then try to sell it.
No, absolutely not.
It doesn't.
And I mean, if somebody does that, I'll go after them. As a matter of fact, I actually know artists now that are just starting to realize, and this is a conversation I was having with one of them this morning, and I said, you know, this is a whole new world, Keith. NFTs are a whole new world. And you and I have had this conversation already, and I am hoping that we collectively, with your understanding, which is greater than mine, of this technical world, by the end of this year, I am hoping to have a section in our website that if you buy an original from us, you can also buy the NFT from us. And we will mint it, and you will get the original and the NFT, and they will be minted together. Both of them will have the code. Okay. Because this, in its own way, the whole provenance idea of the NFT is fabulous on many, many levels. But, you know, when I do a certificate of authenticity, people ask me, they buy a piece of art, and they say, "Oh, could you get me a certificate with that, Gene?" And I go, "Okay, I'll be more than happy to. Do you have a reason that you think certificates of authenticity mean anything? This is my personal thing. Mine. I'm not dissing the whole world of art, but for me, For 41 years in this business, I've never understood why you walk into a gallery or you walk into some store somewhere and someone hands you a piece of paper that says, the store owner says this is real. And the store owner signs it. Okay, excuse me. How is that real?
Was that written on a piece of toilet paper?
It was, absolutely.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Now,
No.
I don't automatically do certificates of authenticity. I do not. Okay. When someone buys pieces from me that are $500 or more, they usually ask me to do one. I say, sure. I take the painting. I take the artist. He holds the painting. I take a photo of the artist and the painting, and I print that on the certificate of authenticity. The artist holding his painting or his sketch, excuse me, or the blackboard or whatever, ink, I don't care, comic cover sketch, I don't care what it is. And that's what they get. They get a parchment certificate of authenticity that has a photo of him holding the piece of art that he did, authenticating that he did it, and when he did it with his signature on it, not just mine.
Yep.
Who am I? I own the gallery, yes, but who the hell am I? Nobody.
You know, in the end, the final analysis is there's law and ethics, right? And then if we don't live by them, what the hell do we have? Total chaos, total anarchy, you know?
Yeah, and you know, when we did the write-up for sending out the announcement for this, most people would never, ever, ever think about going into a store and walking out with something they didn't pay for.
Never.
You know, most
people don't do that.
Some people do that.
Well, some people do that, but I mean, it's very small.
The occasional person, will steal a pack of gum.
Most people don't do that.
Right. Okay.
But we get to this point of where, what's it going to hurt? No one's really hurt by that.
He's
no
got
one
a lot.
Will ever know.
He's rich anyway. She's rich anyway. They got more money than God. What the hell? I don't have anything.
Yeah.
And we let it go and let it go and let it go to the point where it becomes socially acceptable.
Right.
And like, again, we saw it in the music industry with Napster, just allowing everybody to download everybody's music for free.
Yeah.
And when the drummer from Metallica went after them, people made him into the bad guy.
Yeah, he's the bad guy for doing this.
I'll tell you something.
That
I do, and I want to say this on. I mean, I don't know if we have 3 people listening or 30, but I get people that send us things in the mail all the time for Greg to sign. Sometimes they ask, sometimes they don't. But I get people from all over the world. They send me trading cards, they send me photos, they send me whatever. Okay. I have a policy that I have stuck by forever, and it's just my thing. Okay? If you go online and you grab a JPEG of the Star Wars poster that Greg and Tim did, and then you make an 8x10 print and you send that to me on Kodak paper, what you're getting back is your 8x10 print without a signature on it and with a little post-it note that says, you should have bought this from a legal licensee. And then I stick it back in the envelope and I will ship it back to you in Spain because I will not let Greg sign bootleg. Anything bootleg. So anybody out there that's listening, don't send me bootleg.
Don't send bootlegs.
Don't send bootleg. Somebody paid for the license to be able to do. I can bitch and complain all I want about Star Wars and that first painting, but some company out there about that you didn't make enough on it, but somebody out there, some company paid George Lucas or Disney for the license to make legitimate prints that are sold in stores.
Yep.
Okay, I have no intention of doing something that hurts them, and that's what that is. When you sign bootleg crap, you think, oh, it's okay, fine. It's it's just a nice guy and he printed this from the internet. And it's okay. It's not okay. It's not okay.
Just because it's easy to do, just because we can, doesn't mean We should.
We should. Does
That's
never
right.
mean we should. Because we can, and because it is so easy to do so many things today, it should make us question more than ever before in our history. Should we? Should we do this? Should we do this? Should we do this? Okay. You know, I mean, I had somebody that sent me a whole bunch of Star Wars stuff from Shadows of the Empire that they printed off the internet. And I did exactly that. They sent me, $40 or $50, whatever it was for the signatures. And I took it all. I put it back in an envelope. I put their money back in the envelope with a little Post-it, we don't sign bootleg. Okay. This person was so horrified that they then sent me, they went out, they bought something, one Star Wars thing, sent me $50 again for one signature, okay, and said, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't even know it was bootleg. That's what I was doing. I had no idea. It was just all my friends do it, and blah blah blah." And I said, "Oh, okay, that's you got guts." He signed it. I stuck it back in the envelope with his $50. Didn't charge him for the signature.
You go to Comic Cons conventions and you see people sitting there selling clearly they haven't got the permit to sell all these prints that they're selling of all these from movie posters and all kinds of Hollywood stuff and everything. It's like they just do it. There's no thought, like you say. There's no principles or ethics or.
2 years ago, we went to a show, a large comic show. Greg and I were walking around on setup day, and there was a guy setting up a booth. It was like a 10 by 20, big booth, good size. And it was all bootleg, the entire booth. And there was a whole Hildebrandt section. And I walked over to the guy who owns the show. I said, "Have you seen this?" And he said, "Oh, he's been with me for years, Gene. Why?" I said, "So you don't realize that that's 100% bootleg in that booth?" And he walked over with me and he went, Are you serious? I said, "There's not one licensed piece of merchandise in this entire booth, so we have a choice. You kick him out or I'm packing my booth and I'm gone. Make a choice." And kicked him out. And of course the guy was furious, and I was like, "You're furious? Every single artist that's here, you ripped off. You're making a living from their work and you're furious?"
Yeah.
I love that.
Look at the inspiration they get from leadership these days.
Don't do that.
Right?
Don't
do that. Gene's not.
Don't do that. I'm sorry.
All right. Gene and Greg, we are at about 5:20. I actually have to return a Chromebook to the high school on behalf of my son.
Being a parent is lovely. Okay.
It is. I love it.
I know. I know.
Yep. I did it.
Okay, so is there any last question that we should answer before we say goodbye?
I believe that is the last of the questions. We still got people on their side chats. Denny Powell says loves Greg's fantasy and pinups. He's been a fan since '77. Thank you for everything.
Oh,
thank you.
So yeah, everyone. There was a very lively chat, going on today.
I saw that
during our conversation. So we truly appreciate everybody hanging out. And
Keith, is there somewhere where we capture this chat?
Yes.
Oh, lovely. Because I want to see.
I'll point it out to you later.
Show me tomorrow, because I want to read all these, because I really love this, that people are engaged in conversations with us. And I know you usually sign off. Okay, I'm going to sign off. So thank you everybody for coming, because see, I don't come very often because nobody really wants me. They really want him. It's okay. But really, really, really appreciate you coming and listening to Greg and Keith. They do a really nice, back and forth. I love watching them together. And join us on Twitter, join us on Instagram, join us on Facebook, join us on God knows where, YouTube. If you like us, hit the like button. If you don't, okay, just don't hit the like button. But thank Keith. Thank you, Keith.
Keith does a fantastic job.
Keith does a fabulous job, and we love him. And we have for, 24 years now, something like that. So next week you will not see me. But anyone who has another question,
on and off.
Yeah, but if anybody has a question, because we don't want to belabor the copyright thing. And again, as Keith said in the beginning, this whole thing was not about money. This was about protecting an artist's creative rights. That's what this is about. And if you're an artist, you need to protect your rights. You need to go after anybody. I don't care how small it is. Okay? And if it's, even if it's, somebody who's, 18 years old that rips you off, okay? And you don't care that it's not going to be worth a lot of money, make them pay you $1. Make them pay you $1 because they printed your art. Because then there's a consequence of someone's action. Okay? Don't let people get away with ripping you off. It's a very bad idea. And we love you all.
And if you're an artist, make your own stuff.
Yeah,
right,
make
exactly.
your own stuff.
That's it right there. That's
All
the
right.
last word.
Good night. Good night,
Good
folks.
night.
Nighty night.
Bye.
All right, now I have to figure out how, in God's name, there you go, finish. And